It is a Tuesday evening in Punta Gorda, and Margaret Holloway is sitting at her kitchen table with a glass of iced tea she has forgotten to drink. Her laptop is open to Zillow. She is not searching for a new home. She is watching her own home lose value in real time. Here is the number that should stop every Florida homeowner cold. According to Zillow's Home Value Index, the Punta Gorda area is now the single fastest falling housing market in the entire United States, down close to 8% over the past year. Not the fastest in Florida, the fastest in the country. But here is what the headlines are not telling you. Punta Gorda is not an outlier, and it is not alone. Zillow's own forecast model is flagging a whole cluster of Florida markets sliding in exactly the same way, and this is not some future prediction. This is happening right now, in the active listings, in the price cuts, in the days that homes sit unsold. There are 10 towns on this list, each one falling for a reason the retirement brochures never mentioned. And if your zip code sits anywhere near the Gulf Coast, you need to watch this all the way through. Margaret retired from Hillsborough County Schools in 2021 after 31 years teaching 5th grade. She did everything right. She saved, she researched, she waited, and then she bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Punta Gorda for $387,000. That was $40,000 over asking price, because that is what it took. Her agent told her she was lucky to get it. Zillow agreed for a while. Today, that same estimate has drifted down for 6 straight months, quietly and steadily, like a tide going out. To understand why, you need to understand exactly what Zillow is measuring and what it is not. The Zillow Home Value Index is not a record of what homes sold for last month. That is median sale price, a much narrower number that only counts the homes that actually changed hands. The index is broader. It estimates the value of the entire housing stock, including the homes that never hit the market at all. Think of it like a thermometer pressed against the whole neighborhood, not just the few houses that sold. That difference matters because in a slowing market, the first thing to freeze is sales. Sellers hold on. They wait. Transactions thin out, and median sale price can look deceptively stable right up until the moment it breaks. The index catches what is happening underneath that silence. And underneath the silence sits one number that explains almost everything else: inventory. Statewide, Florida's supply has actually started to level off, which is the honest caveat here. This is not the whole state falling at once. But in the 4 metros at the center of Zillow's warning, Punta Gorda, Capecoral, Northport, and Naples, the picture is very different. Charlotte County, where Punta Gorda sits, recorded one of the largest inventory jumps in the entire country, running more than 100% above its own historical normal. When a market that was priced for scarcity suddenly drowns in supply, the math does not bend gently. It snaps. So which town is Zillow flagging as the fastest falling market in all of Florida right now? Punta Gorda. Charlotte County sits at the northern edge of southwest Florida, flat, quiet, and laced with canals. The kind of place retirement brochures were invented for. And right now, it is showing the rest of the state exactly where this goes. Zillow's index has the Punta Gorda metro area down close to 8% over the past year, the steepest decline of any major market in the nation. Homes that would have drawn a bidding war in 2022 now sit for 90 to 120 days, gathering price cuts, closing well below where they started. Sellers there are now accepting around 5% under asking on average, which on a typical home works out to close to $18,000 of room to negotiate before a buyer even starts asking for repairs or credits. But the price drop is not the real story. The real story is insurance. In 2019, a standard homeowner policy in Charlotte County ran under $2,000 a year. Today, that same coverage can cost 3 to 4 times as much. For a typical buyer financing at today's rates, that difference adds hundreds of dollars to the monthly payment before a single light switch is flipped. And hundreds of dollars a month is exactly the gap between qualifying for a mortgage and walking away from one. Then Hurricane Ian came ashore in September of 2022 directly into Charlotte County. The town rebuilt, buyer confidence did not. When short-term rental rules tightened, investors holding vacation properties had no exit left except the open market, and dozens of them listed at once. Supply surged, demand did not follow. Punta Gorda absorbed the first shock. The others are simply 12 months behind it. 30 minutes north sits a market that is bigger, more overbuilt, and carrying even more supply. Capecoral is the largest city by land area in the entire state of Florida. From above, it looks less like a city and more like a circuit board. Canal after canal, street after street, more than 100,000 platted lots. That scale was the selling point. It was also the trap. Between 2020 and 2023, national builders kept pulling permits deep into a softening market because they had commitments to honor and timelines to hit. The supply just kept coming. Zillow now shows Capecoral down roughly 6% over the past year, with nearly 30% of listings already carrying a price cut. Redfin tells the same story from the demand side. In the final quarter of last year, 43% of Capecoral buyers were searching to leave the area entirely, while only 1% of buyers across the whole country were searching to move in. Redfin also shows homes there now taking about 60 days to sell, up from 73 a year earlier. And roughly 9 out of 10 Capecoral properties carry serious flood risk over the coming decades, which is precisely the kind of number that keeps insurers nervous and premiums climbing. Now picture a homeowner who bought a Canal View resale home in early 2022 for $580,000. He needs to move. He lists at $519,000, already taking a painful loss. 2 streets over, a national builder is selling a brand new home, same size, offering a rate buy down and closing cost credits he simply cannot match. He cannot buy down a buyer's interest rate. He can only cut his price. That dynamic is playing out across the whole city. And for the waterfront homes that drove the original frenzy, annual insurance can now run from $11,000 to $18,000, which means the canal premium that once justified a $200,000 price gap is quietly buckling under the weight of the insurance bill. Capecoral is overbuilding, amplified by insurance. The next town has a different diagnosis, and it may be the most instructive case on the whole list. Northport was, not long ago, the fastest growing city in the entire United States, not in Florida, in the country. The census said so, and every headline repeated it. Population leapt from roughly 74,000 to over 100,000 in just a few years, and that statistic worked like a flare gun, drawing investors and speculators chasing momentum. Here is what the headline left out. Growth in population is not the same as growth in jobs, roads, or economic foundation. The bones of the city never scaled to match the story, and neither did the prices stacked on top of it. Zillow now shows Northport down around 9% over the past year, and Redfin has the median sale price down nearly 5%, with homes sitting around 77 days. The reason it is falling so fast is who was buying at the peak. Close to a third of sales went to investors, not to families building a life, but to buyers building a position. And when investors leave, they do not leave quietly. They leave in waves, flooding the market with homes and pressing prices and rents down at the same time. Redfin has the typical Northport home sitting around 77 days now, roughly the same as a year ago, which tells you the slowdown here is not a blip working itself out. It is the new baseline. Northport was sold on growth. Naples was sold on something else entirely: wealth, exclusivity, insulation from exactly this kind of volatility. So why is Naples on this list? Because wealth does not insulate you from legislation. In late 2024, Florida's Senate Bill 4D took full effect, a law born directly from the Champlain Towers tragedy in Surfside. It requires milestone structural inspections and fully funded reserves for any condo building 3 stories or taller. Naples has hundreds of them, beautifully kept buildings where retirees bought in the 1990s and paid off their mortgages years ago. They did everything right. And then the letter arrived. Across Collier County, special assessments are running anywhere from $40,000 to $180,000 per unit. Some owners can finance it. Many cannot. The result is a brand new class of motivated seller, people who own their homes outright, under no mortgage pressure at all, who are nonetheless being forced to list at a discount just to get out before the bill comes due. On the surface, Zillow even shows the city of Naples holding up, slightly higher over the year. But underneath that surface, the condo market is the pressure point, and the broader Naples metro is already down more than 4%. The luxury tier tells the truth the headline hides, with high-end homes now sitting on the market for 4 to 6 months and longer. Even the trophy estates priced above $3 million are lingering past 200 days now, a wait that would have been unthinkable just 2 years ago. This condo squeeze is not contained to Naples. It is reshaping the entire Gulf Coast, and the next 3 towns each show a different version of how this unravels. Fort Myers Beach rebuilt itself after Ian, and that was supposed to be the story: resilience, renewal. A community that came back stronger. And in some ways it did. By 2024, rebuilt beachfront homes were listing between $800,000 and well over $1 million, carrying a post-disaster premium. But here is what nobody told the buyers paying those prices. New construction does not lower your insurance. It raises it. A rebuilt beachfront home there can now carry insurance costs of $22,000 to $35,000 a year, not a mortgage payment, insurance alone. The rebuild premium that justified the price is now evaporating, and the buyers who were supposed to absorb all that new supply are doing the math and walking away. Fort Myers Beach is a failure of reconstruction economics. And if you are still here, still reading every entry on this list, you clearly want the real answers instead of the cheerleading. So let me give you the quietest and most dangerous one of them all. Lehigh Acres is something different, something that gets far less attention than the beachfront drama. Inland, 20 minutes east of Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres absorbed the buyers who got priced out of everywhere else. At the peak, median values touched the low 300s, which was considered affordable by Southwest Florida standards, and that alone tells you how distorted the standard had become. The job base is thin, the commutes are long, and the buyers who stretched the furthest to get in at peak prices are now the most financially fragile people in this entire regional story. Lee County's foreclosure filing rate is running above the state average, and a great deal of that number lives right here. No beachfront drama, no luxury condos, just working families who believed affordable meant safe, and who are learning that the bottom of a market can fall harder than the top. Inglewood, straddling the Charlotte and Sarasota County line, mirrors Punta Gorda's trajectory with almost no attention on it at all. Vacation rental saturation, insurance pressure, and an aging pool of owners who are now net sellers rather than buyers. 3 towns, 3 completely different failure modes, one regional system coming apart at the seams. There is one more thing worth doing if your town has shown up so far. Every market we have covered would land on the same side of a list I put together, the side to avoid. I gathered the whole picture into one place. 40 Florida towns broken down plainly, 20 worth buying into right now, and 20 worth staying well away from, each one with the specific reason attached. The link is in the description if you want to see exactly where your own zip code falls. But stay right here, because the towns we have not named yet break the pattern you have been watching. One of them is falling for a reason none of these others share, and you will want to hear it before you assume your own area is safe. We have stayed entirely in Southwest Florida so far, but Zillow's data shows the fracture lines running much further than that. Port St. Lucie sits on the Atlantic coast, 2 hours away from everything we have discussed, and yet the data reads like a carbon copy. The heart of the Treasure Coast's fastest growing corridor is down high single digits from its 2022 peak. Different ocean, same story. The cause here is master-planned communities that kept delivering new homes long after demand had cooled. The younger buyers who powered this market are far more sensitive to mortgage rates than the cash-heavy retirees of the Gulf Coast. And when rates crossed 7%, the fear of missing out that drove the surge simply did not survive the arithmetic. A buyer who could comfortably carry a payment at 3% found the same home out of reach at 7%, and an entire wave of first-time and move-up buyers quietly stepped back to the sidelines at the exact moment all that new supply needed them most. Then there is Deltona, an inland market that soaked up the overflow when Orlando got too expensive. Its decline is not driven by insurance or overbuilding. It is driven by a trap that works in both directions. Picture a couple who bought in early 2021 at a little over 3%. Their payment is comfortable, so they will not sell into a loss, so they hold. But so does every other 2021 buyer on their street. That collective freeze starves the market of listings buyers actually want, and prices drift down anyway. The trap does not require anyone to panic. It only requires everyone to stay frozen. And Panama City Beach closes this list with a different kind of breakdown entirely. On the Gulf front, short-term rental income is down sharply from its 2022 peak, according to vacation rental tracking from AirDNA. When the rental income breaks, the entire investment thesis breaks with it. Listings pile up. The vacation dream was the product, and the product stopped paying for itself. An owner who bought counting on the calendar staying full now faces months of empty weeks, a mortgage that does not pause, and an insurance bill that only grows. And for a lot of them, the only honest move left is to list and take whatever the softening market will give. Margaret closes her laptop. The iced tea is still sitting there, the ice long melted. She has done the math. Her estimate has slid to roughly $342,000, down from the $387,000 she paid. On a screen, that is a $45,000 loss. It is a real number. It is just not a real loss. Not yet. Not unless she sells. And she is not selling. Here is the reframe, and it is the most important thing any Florida homeowner can hold on to right now. These 10 towns are not coming apart the way Florida did in 2008. There is no wave of foreclosures gutting neighborhoods, no banking failure, no abandoned subdivisions going to weeds. What Zillow's data actually shows is a market finally pricing in reality. Insurance costs that were always coming, flood risk that was always there. Overbuilding that was never sustainable. And the end of a pandemic demand surge that was never going to last. The dramatic word is the word that earns the click. The accurate word is correction. And corrections, painful as they are for recent buyers and for investors, are how a market slowly restores affordability for the next family that wants to live here. These towns were never priced for what they are. They were priced for what buyers hoped they would become, and that gap is finally closing. Margaret's mortgage payment is fixed. Her roof is sound. She retired here because she wanted to retire here, not because she was betting on appreciation, which means the market sliding does not touch her life unless she chooses to let it. That posture, eyes open, data in hand, no panic, is the right one for this year. So now I want to hear from you, because the comments on these are always sharper than the data. Have you or someone you know opened one of those condo assessment letters in a Florida community? Drop the amount below, because the real range people are facing tends to surprise everyone. And tell me which of these failure modes hits closest to home. Are you in an inland market that was sold to you as affordable, or a coastal one where the insurance bill is what finally stopped the numbers from working? Your story is the thing that tells the next person reading this that they are not crazy. And if recognizing your own zip code in one of these 10 towns rattled you a little, stay with this channel, because the next breakdown is already taking shape in the data. There is a second group of Florida markets where prices are still climbing, for now, while the exact same pressures quietly build underneath them. And when that turns, it will not give the same warning these 10 did. We are going to name those towns next, and you are going to want the list before the moving trucks do.